riding the bus, going to practice, playing with their friends. We want our kids to be safe no matter where they are. And that's why many parents choose to track their kids using their phones or a GPS device.
Yeah, whether it's their location or even the conversations they're having online, it can be a lot to manage. Joining us to discuss this is our parent panel, Gregg Behr from the Gregg Foundation and Latoya Wilson from Motherhood Redefined. So first, for young kids, it really makes sense that most parents are tracking their kids. Matter of fact, according to USAA, 80% of parents say they use apps to track their children. So I'm gonna start with you, Gregg.
Yeah.
What do you see as some of the pros and then also some of the cons of this?
Well, yes, we use apps to track our daughters.
Yeah.
And look, it just feels safe.
Right.
It gives us assurance. It gives us a sense of safety. I suppose the downside is we never had that. And kids are looking to become developmentally independent from their parents. And if they always feel tethered to us or that they're somehow in our atmosphere, maybe they don't experience that as much. But I feel like in this world, if there's a device in that hand, it's something that just gives a sense of connection for the family.
Right. And what about for you? How do you feel about this?
See, it's difficult. So as a parent of teens and young adults, I don't track my kids because tracking kind of implies like breaking of trust. So instead I try to foster like open communication. So I do, obviously they have cell phones, so I share their location for emergencies, but I also encourage them to have open communication with me so that it doesn't become a violation of their privacy, but more of a balance between their privacy and then my peace of mind.
Yeah, that makes sense though. And I'm wondering, how do you have that conversation with your kids to say like, all right, you know, we're going to have these apps on our phones and I'm going to track your every move, but it's not going to be a violation of your privacy. I just want to make sure that you're okay.
Yeah, I think it's just that language in general. So tracking, like I said, implies like a breakdown of trust. So instead I say, share your location with me. So it's more of an exchange and less of a power struggle. And they also know like I don't track to keep tabs. I'm really just monitoring to ensure their safety.
Right. We use this great app and our kids don't have phones yet, so we're not tracking them, but we've kind of like dived into it just so that we could see what it was like, the Life 360 app.
That's what we use.
And this one was, and what it does though is it allows everyone to see where everyone is. So it feels less of an invasion of privacy and more of like we're all willingly sharing this information with each other. So if you want to know where mommy is, now you know. If you want to know where Lila is, you know. So to me, it kind of opened up this new way to do it without feeling so much like the trust is breaking down, because I see where you're coming from with that.
Yeah, it's just occasional monitering,
Right.
It's not tracking, because sometimes I'm like, where on earth is my wife?
Yes.
Right? And I
now you're
can't
like,
look
oh,
at that.
yeah.
She's at the
She's
store.
at Target. Because that's what I have most of the time.
So I guess my question is, how do you know when this has gone too far?
Right.
You know, like, how, are you showing up at places where your kids are, and are you embarrassing them? Is that too far? Or if you find them at a place that might be questionable, is that okay to do so?
I think it depends on your kid and it depends on the situation. So if you have a suspicion that something is going wrong or that they're somewhere where they don't need to be, then yes, you show up.
Yeah. So we're talking about tracking as far as locations go, but you also mentioned even just with some of the apps that they're using, you know, do we want to be looking at some of the things that they're corresponding with their friends? Like, are we opening up their Snapchat? Are we tracking some of the stuff that's kind of happening behind the surface too?
Well, honestly, there are some apps that my daughters don't have access to. Right?
Yeah.
It's just, and that's a known thing when they get that device. It's also true that we have a rule in our house that mom and dad can pick up that device at any point.
Yeah.
Again, that was a rule before they got their phones. And so you can pick up the phone and look at the text messages, look at their apps they're using, and just see what's going on, which actually also allows for conversation. And usually it's just, oh, I see that your friends are doing this thing or that you're thinking about this. It's not monitoring or tracking, it's just facilitating better open communication and expectations.
With older kids, are you doing, I just saw this video that some kids are using a shared note and it updates in real time, so it's not an app that you would think to look at, but you know, they're having these conversations that may appear more private because of that. But with older kids, are you doing the same thing where you're just asking to hand over the phone just to see?
So I do.
Yeah.
And they're free to pick up my phone and look through it as well because
Yeah.
there are no secrets.
I love that.
And having that open communication allows for an exchange so that if a child feels as though that they're making a mistake or they've done something wrong, that it's a safe space to tell mom and to tell dad. So I do encourage my child to either pick up my phone if they would want to, or I pick up their phone just casually just to see what they're engaging with and just to get a better glimpse as to what they're doing online.
And I'm just curious, if you see something that you don't like,
Yeah.
what do you like? How do you handle that? Because my immediate reaction would be just to go through the roof. But no,
Yeah.
that's probably not a good idea.
Yeah, so going through the roof will encourage them to hide even more.
Hide it even
Yeah.
And to shut down, absolutely. So I don't. I just talk about it.
Yeah.
Oh, that sounds so
You know, we all did so many embarrassing things in our adolescence and as we're coming of age. Honestly, there are bound to be mistakes made.
Yes.
And they're all just teaching moments.
Yeah.
They're all just teaching moments.
all good. All right, thanks, guys.